Hello, everyone. Cliff here with this rather late edition of episode 4 of my journey to impact 1 million people. The other day, I talked about how I wanted to release this LinkedIn lead generation kit as a tool for people to be able to use. And afterwards, I was really surprised at the number of people that were suggesting, like, hey, you know what? I've got a book that might go good with your package, or I have, this paper or this checklist that would go good. And initially, I thought that would be really great because, if I could provide more value to the people who are going to purchase the product, then, why not? So I started taking a look at the material that they gave to me. And when I did, it kind of gave me a sinking feeling in my stomach. It reminded me of back in college. I was really, stressed out because a lot of my classes, it's engineering classes. But there was one class in particular that came up that a lot of the upperclassmen warned us about that was really particularly tough. But I said, going into the classes, like, you know what, I can do this. I'll just have to work really hard, put in a lot of work, a lot of effort. And the class was like, it was like 50-50 room, 50-50 lab. And in the lab, you had 3 partners. So 4 of us were working on every project together. And what we would do is we would go into the lab, we would perform our experiment, we would collect the data, and then afterwards we would have to write a paper. And they told us, at the very beginning, they said, for every single time that you turn in your paper, if there's a spelling mistake, it's minus 10 points. If there's a grammar mistake, it's minus 5 points. So, I didn't think anything about it. I'm not an English major, but, I know my English isn't that bad. Anyways, we turned in the first paper and I got it back and we scored like a 38. I mean, it's really low and I was crushed. There was nothing wrong with the data, nothing wrong with our conclusions. It was just that the paper had all these spelling mistakes and typos in it, a lot of stuff that I would have never caught because, like I said, I'm an engineer, not an English major. But the one thing that I realized was that just because I slap my name on something doesn't mean it's going to be good or that it's going to be quality. I have to put the effort into making sure that it is good. So my plan at that point was very simple, right? Because I still wanted to get a good grade in the class. So my plan was very simple. I was just going to have my teammates submit their work to me early, and then I would take all of their work and put it together into a finished paper. I would work really hard to make sure that the paper was like perfect, and then, turn it in. Now, you could go and see the teacher's assistants ahead of time, and they would actually sit and go through the paper with you before you did it. So I would take the paper to them. We would review it. They would find mistakes. I would take the paper back home, correct all the mistakes, bring it back to them. We'd go through it again. They would find less mistakes. I'd go home, do it again, come back. They'd find less mistakes and do this like 3 or 4 times sometimes until that paper was like borderline perfect. Of course, that was my plan, and my teammates immediately pushed back. They didn't want to get me anything early. They wanted to take their time with the paper, and party and do whatever else they wanted to do. But as team leader, I had to put my foot down and say, hey, we're going to do this. We're going to do it right. So they acquiesced, which is good. But the thing is the next time that I turned in a paper, we got the test score back and it was a 98, which was a huge improvement from the first time before. And so, what it made me realize was that, even though I wasn't the smartest person in class, even though I wasn't, naturally gifted or naturally smart, but hard work does pay off. And if you're going to put your name on something, it should count for something. And for me, from that point forward, it's like whenever I put my name on something and said, this is worthwhile, then it's always been my opinion that people can take me at my word for it. They can get true value from it. So with these other, authors and writers or whatnot that had all this material, all these checklists, these books, these manuals for my LinkedIn project, basically I had to turn them down. A lot of their stuff was written in 2016, which if you know anything about working on the internet, anything that's written 3 years ago is like way out of date. A lot of it isn't even applicable anymore. Especially if you're talking about software, a lot of the things that you say, click here, those things don't exist anymore. And, it's a real shame because with these authors and the way they write their stuff, yeah, I'm glad you agree, Rob. the way that they write their stuff, it's an ebook format. So why couldn't you just go in there and change it and update it? I don't understand, but it's like they haven't touched it in 3 years. So anyways, basically I was like, thanks, but no thanks. I'm just going to move on. And thanks for the like, Sherry. So appreciate it. And anyway, so I just wanted to share that little story about craftsmanship with you. I hope you're all having a wonderful weekend, and I look forward to talking to you guys tomorrow. See you then.